What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and we are here for the last review of the day. This is going to be Queens, Season 1, Episode 3. The episode title, Who You Calling the Bitch? So, before we get into this episode, you guys, if you guys are watching this video or any other on the channel and are not yet subscribed to the channel, I'm going to need you guys to do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button, like button, notifications are on, and stop taking me out on this date and having me pay for it at the end of the day. Get into that stuff that I just said a minute ago. Like, comment, subscribe. And with that out the way, you guys, without further ado, let's discuss Queens, shall we? All right, you guys, so this was a good episode for me. So I don't know how long this video is going to be because we had individual stories from each woman, and I actually really enjoyed that, right? So we're going to start up with the nasty bitches. So the nasty bitches are doing a performance, right? This performance is a complete disaster. So on the stage, they created a hole, and Valeria fell in the hole on top of Naomi, right? On top of that, Jill was on stage, and Jill forgot her lyrics. And if you didn't think it could get any worse, Brianna. So Brianna had to take a 7-minute intermission to sing "You Are My Sunshine." Did she sing? Is that what she sang? She sang a song to one of her kids. I'm like, God damn. So they're reading the newspaper. Basically, this journalist is basically like, if you guys want to see the nasty bitches, save your money. So we find out that Jeff got his memory back, right? And Brianna saying that Jeff kind of, basically feels bad about what he did to her. I'm like, oh, really? Okay. So then Jill tells them that she'll be speaking with Out Magazine, about coming out. And Naomi says that JoJo is coming to LA for an audition. This rain is just coming down. So JoJo's coming down for an audition. And so Valeria's talking to the ladies, right? And she's telling them that at this point they need new music because the stuff that they're rapping about is who they were, in the 90s, not who they are today. So they go in the studio, right? And Eric has some beats for them to listen to, right? They don't like the beats, and at this point they're kind of questioning their name. They no longer want to they don't really like the name Nasty Bitches anymore, right? So we find out that back in the day, Naomi is the one that used to pick out their beats, right? And she would write the raps for each and every lady, right? But at this point, Brianna feels that, they all should write their own lyrics. And Naomi is like, girl, yeah, you and Jill can write some good lyrics, but our hits come from me. And I always wrote Valeria's lyrics because Valeria wasn't good at it. So Bria's like, oh, hell no, girl. Like, no, we're not doing that. So Brianna says, okay, how about we do this? We battle each other. Whoever wins, if you win, we bow down to what you want to do. I win, we all write our own individual lyrics, right? So we see Brianna and Naomi in this cipher, and when I tell you they were going for each other's jugular, I'm like, damn. I was just like, oh shit, they going hardcore at each other. I'm like, is y'all friendship gonna literally survive? Because y'all are talking about your kids, your husband cheating on you, you not knowing who your baby daddy is. I'm like, well, damn. Okay, that was brutal. But at the end of the cipher, Brianna won. Naomi wasn't too happy, and Naomi stormed out on their asses. I'm like, oh, but you agreed to this. So if you had a won, you would have been would you have been a gracious winner instead of a sore loser? Doubtful. But let's move on, you guys. All right, you guys. So first up, we're going to talk about Brianna, right? So we see Brianna, and she's talking to a divorce attorney, right? Because at one point in the episode, Valeria was telling Brianna to see a divorce attorney because when it comes to a divorce, men are usually always on top of it, but women, you got to protect yourselves, right? So then we see them at their daughter's school, right? And their daughter has a necklace that says "Nasty Bitches" on there, and the principal and I guess her teacher were concerned about her vocabulary and her saying the word bitch, right? So Jeff defended his wife and defended the name of the group, right? So we find out that the reason that they came up with the nasty bitches was basically to take away that negative word, negative word from nasty and bitch when it pertains to women, right? So I like that. And I will say I actually kind of like Jeff defending Brianna. It was nice. Not forgiving Jeff for what he did, but it was kind of nice, right? So Jeff and Brianna, they went out whiskey tasting. Now while they're out, his mistress calls him on the phone, and I'm like, really, bruh? You can't block her. You can't, like, tell me he can't stop her from calling him. You can't stop her from calling you, but what you can do is delete her number, block her. There are a lot of things you could have done, but you did not do. So yeah, Jeff, miss me with the BS. So then she tells him that she talked to a divorce attorney, right? And then this fool tries to flip it and says that, what about the kids? You weren't thinking about your kids when you were sleeping with Becky, okay? And then she was like, but what about your little girlfriend? He says, well, it didn't mean anything. She says, how long was it going on? It went on for about 6 months. I'm like, 6 months, 4 months, 6 months. It was 4 months, he said. That's too long, buddy. Way too long. What is today, Wednesday? Sorry, you guys. I'm thinking about what today is. Today is Wednesday. Do I have any videos tonight? Yes, I do. I have Beverly Hills. Thank God it's part 4 of the reunion. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Part 4 of the reunion and sisters. Okay, back to the show. So then we move over to Jill, right? So Jill is doing her interview with Out Magazine, and it's with an interviewer by the name of Alicia, right? So Alicia's asking her questions about, her marriage. She says, I don't want to talk about that. She was talking about her father being a deacon in the church and all kind of stuff. And she, she's like, so the reason that you couldn't come out is because of your religion? She's like, yeah. And then the fact that my father was a deacon in the church. So then, Alicia invites, what's her name? Jill out, right? To the bar with her. So this was Jill's first time going to anything that was gay related. So then we also find out that Miss Alicia and her crew, they've all dated each other. I was like, oh, wow. The whole crew has dated each other, so y'all know what each other's vaginas look like. Wow. So then we see, Jill as she's back in her hotel room and she's trying to write her lyrics, right? So Tina calls her and, she ignores Tina. But then Alicia texts her and invites her out to dinner. So she goes to dinner with Alicia, right? So she gets there with Alicia and it's just she and Alicia. And I'm like, you didn't think any? I'm like, Jill. She said the other girls bailed on her. I'm like, Jill, no, they did not. They did not bail on her. This is a date. And then we found out that it was a date because she said that's her ex-girlfriend, the chef. And she was like, huh? She's like, most time when people come to their ex's place of business, they're usually showing off someone new. She said, exactly. That's what I'm doing. Then she starts, touching Jill's thigh, and Jill got up and left. I'm like, oh, Jill, please don't do what I think you're going to do. Please don't do it. Please don't do it. So then we see Alicia, right? Not Alicia, but Jill. She's back in her room, right? She's talking to Tina. There's a knock at the door. She goes to the door. Who's at the door? It's Alicia. I'm like, Jill, no. Abort mission. Abort. 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 We're going to move forward, you guys. All right, guys. So next up, we see JoJo. So JoJo is out in LA, right? And, she and Naomi, they go to Hellman for her audition. So JoJo went off and met up, she was mingling with some young boys, right? That white woman that came up to Naomi and said, I would like a gin martini. She says, do you want to die? That white woman backed her ass up. So remember, I just told you a minute ago that JoJo was, mixing and mingling with the other people there, right? One of the little boys was giving her a hard time. So then Naomi came up. He's like, she was like, yep, I'm explicit lyrics. He's like, no, you're the person that J-Lo fell on. She's like, that is not J-Lo. So then, now see, here's a scene that I did. I was like, I get why JoJo is so upset and so pissed off with Naomi. But the way that she talked to her mother in this scene, I was like, girl, I could never talk to my mom like that because she would have slapped my ass, right? And I get it. JoJo is nervous about this audition, right? I get it. But we see JoJo, she rocked her performance, and then she, in the middle of it, she played her mama's song, and her mom got up. That's my baby. Oh yeah, that's my baby. Y'all ain't gonna clap for my baby? Nope, they're not. So then after that, we see JoJo and Naomi talking, right? So JoJo tells Naomi, like, I know you told me you don't know who my dad is, right? But if you can give me any information so that way I can go look for him, she wants to do that. I'm like, oh shit. So then we see Valeria, right? So Valeria and Eric, right? She goes over to his crib because she needs help because Valeria is not a writer. She can't write music. But he tells her, like, you good. You got this. He's like, because he kept some of their old verses, right? He played that one verse for her. I'm like, Eric, you do realize that verse is trash, right? But, okay. So then we see Eric and Miss Valeria. They go out on a date with each other, right? So we get a little bit of backstory about them. We find out Valeria, well, we knew she was in a foster care system, but we didn't know that her mother had basically left her and wrapped her up in, her, the Puerto Rican flag and all. I'm like, damn, girl, you've had a hard life, huh? So he asked her, does she miss him? And I think, like Queens and all that kind of, wherever they're from, right? Not so much, huh? She said she doesn't look back, or she said she doesn't look back, nor does she do regret. And I'm one of those people too, right? I don't believe in regret. I'm not someone that'll say I regret anything. I don't regret things. I always take everything that happens in my life as a life lesson. So anything that happens to me, good, bad, or indifferent, is just a lesson to me about what to do and what not to do. So I got where she was coming from, right? So they went back to his crib and they both, they were about to get in. She went in the booth. We didn't get to hear what she put down, right? So then after she came out the booth, they almost got a little heated with each other, right? Now, if I'm not mistaken, from this conversation that they were having, it sounded like Valeria at one point got pregnant by Eric, but she didn't want to be a mother, so she went and got an abortion. That's what it sounded like to me. Now, you guys can leave in the comment section if that's what you gathered, but that's just what I was thinking. So we're going to move forward, you guys, and we're going to wrap up the episode, shall we? All right, you guys. So the end of the episode. So we see them all in the studio, right? And they are all in the booth rapping about. So they're no longer rapping about what. So they're in their 40s. They got to be in their 40s, right? So they're not rapping about. They're rapping about what they are going through, present day 2021. They're no longer rapping about 1999. Nasty bitches, explicit lyrics, Jill the Thrill, Butter Pecan. How do y'all say pecan or pecan? Here in Texas we say pecan. But so Butter Pecan, explicit lyrics, Butter Pecan, Jill the Thrill, and Professor Sex. They're not rapping about the things that they went through younger days. They're rapping about what they're currently going through, right? Now I will say one thing for Nadine Velasquez, who plays Valeria, right? So they did an interview. They did an interview with the Breakfast Club, and I watched that interview. It was a really great interview. I watched an interview with the Breakfast Club, and I watched them on The View, right? And from what you can see, they have a a great working relationship with each other. Now we don't know what things like behind the scenes, but just from seeing them on in the interviews, it looks like they all love each other, and it's a great working relationship. So Nadine said that in her interview on the Breakfast Club that she's never rapped before. This was her first time rapping, and for her to never have rapped before, she is really doing a good job. I got to give it to her. Like, she's doing a very good job. So then we find out a little bit more about what happened with Jill. So Jill did in fact cheat on Tina. Jill, why? Jill, why? Like, I like Tina. So Naomi, you guys remember earlier in the episode that Brianna feels like they have outgrown the name Nasty Bitches, right? So they need to rebrand themselves. So they've rebranded the name to the name of the show, Queens. I love it, because they're all queens in their own right. So we see, remember I told you a little bit ago that Eric, he had old, because I guess at one point when ladies weren't able to, like what artists do today, right? If most times the artists never go into if they do a collaboration, they don't always be in the studio. They go into their own studio, record it, send it over to the producers, the engineers, so that they can mix and master it together to make it sound cohesive, right? So that's what those ladies did at some points in their careers, where they weren't always in the same room with each other, but they had access to a studio. So he's listening to one of Naomi's old lyrics, and you can hear in the lyrics where she's talking about she's pregnant. And I've said it in episode 1 that I thought Eric was JoJo's father, right? I still believe that. But then they threw us the curveball last week with Cameron. I think they did that for a reason. I still believe that Eric is her father. And Valeria comes in and is like, so you're JoJo's father? So then we see Brianna, right? So Brianna went into the room where Jeff was, right? Brianna tells Jeff that she's going to let it go and, let go of it. Let go of what Jeff did. I'm like, really? Why? So when she was talking to him, I'm like, he's really quiet. And then I said, she moved. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, he's dead. And lo and behold, Jeff is dead. But that's it, you guys. That's the end of the episode. Like the video, leave your comments in the comment section below, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell button so you guys are notified when I drop anything else. Share the video and into the next one, you guys. Stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves. Remember to wash your hands, wear a mask, socially distance, be blessed, and I'm going to catch you guys later.